All right, so hey everyone, my name is Nate McConnell, and the reason I'm making this video is to help walk you through um, the project here, the deliverables, and the Photoshop documents that I've created. Just as a refresher, I got this email from Charlie, and it's basically the kickoff, which is, the project is the follow button. The problem is that uh, we need to increase conversion of the follow button, and in doing so, propose a new user experience and user interface that will help. So there can be multiple proposals, and we may A/B test them. So you probably know this, and there's different mock-up screen sizes that will be in the Photoshop files that are associated with Bootstrap. So let's dive in here and jump into the Photoshop document. So first here we have the home page, and on this home page I basically am starting on mobile here, so you'll have the iPhone 320 pixels wide screen, and what I'm doing here is basically saying a couple of things. And how is this associated with the follow button? Let's find out. So right here we have the avatar or the user profile icon out in front, and it has this notification here, and that's for a good reason. It's going to catch people's attention. They're going to click on it, sign in, access their account, join if they haven't already, or if they're already logged in, they're going to be able to see a message from maybe a challenge that they're involved in or something that they're following. And then right away, I pulled this copy from the About page, which is enable epic breakthroughs. I threw epic back in there because I'm kind of hybridizing it with what's currently on the website. If we sneak back over here, so check out the website. It's right on the home page. It says do something epic. So basically I'm borrowing epic and I'm putting it here. And then right now I have this detail benefits here, which is basically the detail benefits to the user very concisely. So follow challenges, share with friends, compete, and earn cash prizes, probably the most important part. And then just changing the call to action from just explore alone to explore challenges. And you'll notice that launch isn't on here. There's no slider, because the slider, they're just known industry standard to reduce conversion. And then there's fewer bells and whistles and distractions, like competing calls to action and primary calls to action, to avoid that paradox of choice we all know about. And then all this other stuff like the featured challenges, let's talk about that. Where'd that go? And so let's go back to the mock here. So right away, if they click explore challenges, well, they're going to go to the explore challenges page. And so let's take a look at that on mobile real quick here. So we'll just browse through Photoshop, and here we are. Okay, let's get over there to the challenges page. Here we are. Here's the explore challenges. So right away you get there and it's like, okay, explore and follow challenges you like. Okay, so what I did is I just clicked on the explore challenges button and I landed here. I can filter, I can sort the challenges, I can maybe search the challenges, but what is most important here is I'm just going to browse. I'm perusing through here. I'm kind of reading it, gauging how exciting it is. Like 418 followers, I want to follow it. So what happens when I follow it on this page, right? So let's take a look at that. So in here I have the different, I have the master head, which is basically the header on top. I have the content, which is all the content, and then I have the footer, which is down here at the bottom. And what you'll notice is basically in this content area here, we'll have the first challenge, second challenge, and so on, and then the final calls to actions. But here's the filter and sort section here. Here's the H1 on the page, this headline here. But let's get back to the follow button interaction. So what happens when I click on it? It basically says following instead of unfollow. But you'll notice that the following button or the follow button has replaced what's on the website currently, which is this status and the prize amount stuff. We don't really need that stuff on the Explore page. We just need people to read it, get a gist of it, follow it to check it out later. We're getting engaged here. So once they click follow, it'll basically prompt them like it does today to actually sign up or sign in using Facebook. So we'll be able to tackle that then. But that's the follow button and on the Explore page. So what happens now when I click that? Well, it'll increment up here in the so I'm going to click it. It's going to be following, and then it'll increment up here, and it'll say like, oh, you have 2 messages now. Great, cool. I have 2 messages. Awesome. And maybe there's some interaction there that like the star flies away and hides up here. But something to get people to engage and to have fun with it. Like as they go through here and they're following all the different challenges that they like, then great. It'll keep incrementing up here, and they can always go to their profile and clean it up and take a closer look later. But what's more important is now we have an excuse to email them and talk to them and get them back to the website. So that's the Explore page in mobile. And so let's take a look. Like, what if they come back, and they actually click on one they like? So for this one, let's say they clicked on this X Prize Visioneers one. Let's just hop on over to the mobile version of that page here. And the reason I'm doing mobile first and talking about mobile first is because that's the most important place to start when we need to, especially with our obstacles, which are like hierarchy and just the paradox of choice and kind of cleaning this up. Mobile is the best place to start. So here we have the most important information on top, right? The headline, the video, the challenge synopsis, basically, and the accept the challenge button. Those things are the most important things on this page. I know that in the beginning, the follow button was like the main focus of the project, and it still is. When they get here, and if they followed it, it would be in the following state, so they would be able to unfollow it and follow it. If they checked it out and they didn't like it, they could go ahead and say like, hey, I don't want to follow that anymore. And so they can arrive here from a lot of different places. But in any case, here they have the video, just cleaned up the UI here, made it all uniform, and instead of having like the stage and the prize equal to the challenge in the UI like it is today, so if we like check it out today, you'll notice that there's like all these icons here. It's misaligned. It's not aligned with the top of the movie. There's all these social media icons, everything, and then this nominate a friend thing, which is like redundant with share, and then the actual accept a challenge thing has all these questions around it. Do I click it? Do I even notice it? There's a lot of hierarchy problems here, so we're just solving that right away by putting all this up top above the fold. Here we have the amount of shares, like there's 628 shares, and there's the amount of followers, like, oh, okay, that's why I want to follow. I want to be part of it. It's called third-party validation, so here I am. I'm part of the followers, instead of calling it what it is today, which is like basically back on the Explore page, it's called 419 competitors. It's called competitors. Well, that doesn't really help us get followers, and we want followers, so let's start calling it followers and leave it at that. And then you'll notice that on the challenge page today, there's just a lot of content. It's overwhelming, right? The sheer amount of it is just that paradox of choice. Like, where do I read? Where do I start? So here I'm basically borrowing this sort of UI from this old accordion UI principle where you just hide the stuff and click it when you show it. And so instead of having this like all the beans spilling out and nowhere to go to necessarily like organize this information architecture very well, we've just conquered it right away by masking things so the user can sort of bit by bit digest it. And we also did it with the footer too, because there's a lot of stuff and distraction in there too. And so we did that for all the pages. So next here, we're going to talk about basically the way this scales up on to the next screen size, which is typically 768 pixels on an iPad. So here's the home page. We just have that full background image still. I randomly pulled this from well, not randomly. I strategically pulled this from the internet based off of the this X Prize Visioneers image, like a bunch of people working together. That was really good. So like, let's get back here to the iPad version here. Again, it's organized with the masterhead. You can see the user profile drop down. Here, it says I'm logged in as Charlie. I have one message, just like up here. And when I want to get rid of this or log out, here I'm going to log out. It's just right there. Or if I want to close this, I'm done with it. I can either click away or click this X button and it'll hide. Now what happens when I click search? Well, if I click search, the search menu comes down. Here I can enter my search, or oh, it's already helping me with some of the things I was looking for. So maybe I can go to launch now or skip to explore or how it works, or about us, some of these faster things. We can insert stuff in here later on, like FAQ from the footer help center or whatever people need. So right away we can sort of hide this, and that's our basic drop-down interaction here. But again, we have the explore challenges taking the center stage here, the focal point, because we want people to get over to that page. And then real quick here, let's go to the desktop version of this and talk about it. Basically, the fonts enlarge and more of the picture is shown. We don't want to change too much here because again, this is mobile first responsive design, so adding development time here on this page doesn't necessarily help us. The text gets bigger here. These are still drop downs. All that fun stuff still lives under there. Again, we just have the masterhead. You can come in here and drop down the search bar or the user profile drop down. Here they are. So they're all stashed there. Next, we'll talk about the Explore page, and let's get into the iPad version of that. So before, you'll notice that the Explore page is basically just like it is today, single column, except that we're doing like this full screen image because we don't have a lot of pixels. 320 pixels isn't a lot of pixels wide here, so we really want to use up that screen real estate best we can, and full screen image does that. So back up here to iPad version, we have a more space now, so we can do 2 columns like we have today. But instead of doing that like kind of boring gray, sleepy gray with the white encapsulation on these, I'm just using this nice faint border here to encapsulate it, and really let follow be the star child here, so people can see like, oh, this is following, this is what's going on. And then I'm aligning it with create a challenge and load more. Instead of create a challenge be like this distraction on top like it is today. Let's see here. Let's flip on back over to where we are today on the Explore page. We'll notice that there's this create a challenge just beaming out here. It's actually pulling so much primary call to action attention away from the actual exploring of the challenges. It's just a distraction. So let's just keep it, but use it wisely. So back here, we've moved it down here to next to load more. So when they come down here, they have like this simple choice, just 2 choices. Load more, and you sort of see more of this, or create a challenge like you've seen enough and you're inspired to create your own. This is a perfect place for that. So again, you can go into content here and check out like the first challenge, and you can toggle its following button. Each one has its own. And again, up here with the user profile drop down, the side menu, we have the iPad version. Okay, and we're going to go over here to the Explore page. Again, now I've added 4 more because there's just a plethora of real estate here. This is a lot similar to the way the home page is laid out today with 4 across. This filter would basically slide out like what we have today on the website. This browse by category here probably needs funding, enter the challenges. This can all be added in there. I'm happy to mock that up later. Sort would basically be by popularity newest, but also you'll notice that these days remaining are removed. And that's for good intention, because if we look back here, this is just so much cleaner, and it allows the follow button to take the hierarchy. But if we look back here, there is no follow button, there is no hierarchy. Everything is as loud as possible, except probably the most important thing, which is the description. I want to read this. So we're just fixing that right away. We're saying, like, get this blue thing off of here. It's just a distraction. If I want to know days remaining, put it in the sort, right? Up here in sort. Let me sort by days remaining. I want to see what's going to end the soonest, you know? And so that way it will sort. Again, we have the challenge, create a challenge CTA and load more. Just very simple here, keeping it very mobile first and friendly. And that's the explore page. So let's take a look at our lastly here, where we left off on the challenge detail page. And so here we have this page. It's very condensed now. And let's see what it looks like on iPad. Let's see. So here, iPad, we're keeping the image, the video full screen on top. A lot is similar to what it is today on the iPad screen size, 768. But here we're just making the follow button bigger and the share button bigger, and hoping that we get people to really participate with those. Again, we have the stage and the prize. Things just keep consistent here. We don't need to change too much on the portrait version, which is the most popular screen size next. So let's see what this looks like on desktop now. All right, fun page. This is where all the bells and whistles are. So you'll notice right away I am aligning everything up, like compared to where it is today. Let's get back here. Like today is just you know, there's no alignment, there's no hierarchy, right? The thing that's the most important is the quietest. The follow button is not even encapsulated with this main call to action. So let's fix that, right? So right away we have the accept challenge here. It's big and orange. We want them to do that after they play the video primarily. So here's our two calls to action, you know. And then secondarily is the follow and the share. You'll notice that like join's not up here, right? Like what happened to join and sign up? Well, we don't really need these, because even when we start, we register. Even if we follow, we register. There's just ample time to do this, join us and sign in. We don't need it to distract us from our main course here. Our main course is to follow, sign in, accept, sign in. You know, or if I get distracted by the notification, I'll click it, and maybe it's prompting me to sign in. So here we are. Let's move forward. So we have the followers and the shares, the inner stage, the prize, and this will be changed to, you know, submission deadline or winners announced. And here's your timeline. It's no longer orange because we cannot risk distracting attention. This orange stuff, plus it's hard to see if you do that full screen background. Let's talk about that, because we're missing the full screen background here. Again, I'm just trying to keep it mobile first. We don't need a lot of heavy HTTP requests here from CSS or anywhere to really pull that in. If people really want it and think they need it, we can of course add it in, but things will be very high contrast, like white on the background instead of like orange. You'll notice that right away we kind of lose contrast here. And this white with the dotted line is a little better, but this orange is horrible on this background. So plus it shouldn't be orange. The main call to action should be orange. And so we fixed that right here. That's above the fold. And then below the fold, again, we just organized the things. When you click it, it drops down. It's an accordion. So we're just keeping it very simple here. The structure is still organized all the same, so you'll find it relatively easy. You can see the follow interaction there. Again, you can see what happens when the user profile drops down and the search menu drops down. Just keeping it real simple here. So these are basically the 3 pages that I'll be submitting with this and video, and hopefully it helps guide you through like some of my nonsense here, how I organize things. So, you know, the header menu, it's just right in here. Here's the logo. Everything is from left to right, top to bottom. So I'm trying to make it as easy as possible. Not trying to change too much, but just what is necessary to really get the follow buttons activity flowing here. So let's just move along here to kind of where I came from into this. I had already started to do some of that analysis here about the follow button. You'll see on this interaction right away on the top here, the user can click the follow button and actually start following right on the explore page. So I've already started to explore with that a little bit. Already started to find out the hierarchy problems, the slider, you know, the follow challenges on page instead of while exploring. Those kind of problems that I mentioned, like why is the follow button all the way on the challenge detail page? It shouldn't be. That takes too long for me to engage with the site. We need it on the explore page, right? And we need people on the explore page as fast as possible. So some of these old goals and the branding, which was just like a stronger foot forward than the pill bottle pharmacy style logo that we have today with the X up there. Like, is this a pharmacy website or what? No, it's a hero website, dude. Look at the hero, you know. And then user personas, just outlining them. Information architecture, just understanding it and cleaning it up, right? And then the user flow, which is basically what we just talked about, going from the home page to the explore page and then finally to the challenge detail page and making that user flow really crisp. And so where did I get some of these ideas from? Is basically I come into this user story and I just come up with a user named Gus in this example, and I do this for all my clients. But here's how does Gus find out about HeroX, right? And I run through here. He maybe found out from a Google click ad a long time ago or whatever, but maybe he's coming back to the website because he got an email from HeroX and he clicked on the call to action. He lands on the home page or he lands on the explore page, whatever the strategy is. In this case, it's home page. He clicks explore, and we're familiar with that, right? Like he clicks explore and he starts to explore challenges. Boom. Let's go explore some challenges, right? And on that page, this is how he engages. So we go to this next column here. What makes Gus engage on HeroX? Well, he clicks follow because one of those challenges was really inspiring. So once he does that, it prompts him to sign in or sign up. And so here he basically signs in with Facebook. So it's so easy, unobtrusive. And then he lands back on the page, and it's the state of that follow button is going to be in the following state instead of unfollow, because unfollow is boring. So what makes Gus return to the website? Well, we have his email, right? So we always send him emails, and these are important to him because they're updates on the challenges he's following. It's not just like a marketing, like, hey, we're trying to get you to buy something. No, it's like meaningful. There's context around these emails that he's getting. And so he clicks on the call to action in the email and he goes to the challenge detail page, right? So he basically lands on the challenge detail page here. He probably watches the video, or if there's an update, he goes down here to updates and he checks out updates. Just real simple here. That's how he returns to the site, and that's what he does. Maybe coming back enough, he finally accepts a challenge and proceeds to read the rest of the overview and all that commentary in the challenge detail page. Hefty page. So let's move on. So why does Gus recommend HeroX to his friends or whatever? So he gets in the habit of checking out the updates of many challenges he's following, right? And one of the challenges sparks his interest, but it reminds him of a friend that is perfectly suited to accept the challenge. So what does he do? He sends it to his friend. But because his friend doesn't respond immediately to him, he shares it on Twitter and Facebook too, because he's just so excited about that particular challenge. So that's how he recommends HeroX, using Facebook, but also email. And then why does Gus purchase from HeroX? So this is like a long tail because really Gus is a hero. He's not a damsel in distress. So I'm pulling that from back here on this strategy, right? Like hero is basically the person who accepts challenges, whereas the damsel in distress is the person that creates problems. So what we have is, let's get back on track here. So basically, with our user's narrative here. So basically, he continues his engagement with HeroX, and after winning one of the challenges, he has some extra money, right? So he decides to start his own challenge because he's familiar with the platform and it's exciting. So he clicks that create a challenge on the explore page. And then after weeks of sharing the challenge with people, like he's a pro at using social media and emails, cold email marketing, right? He finally, a winner is picked, and he pays the new hero the prize money because, of course, it's solving his problem. And so I'm guessing here that HeroX takes a portion of the prize money to cover overhead expenses. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not totally familiar with your guys' business model. But this is just the user story narrative I always do for clients. Next is the goals and priorities. And so what I do is, along the journey of our user Gus, there's basically some touch points like the home page, the explore page, the challenge detail page, the follow button, the user profile where all his followings are saved, right? And his messages are. And then the email notification he gets to return to the website or, to send to people. So these are really important things, and what I do is I basically put them down in the descriptions here, and this could be even more complex in the future as we get feedback from users like, hey, I want the follow button on the right. Okay, let's put that on here, follow button on the right. How desirable is it on a scale of 1 to 10? How doable is it, a scale of 1 to 10? What's our total here, right? So how much time does it take for us to actually do it? And so right here, right away, I did the home page. This is taking the home page in its current form and just A/B testing it against the mock I did, which is very simple, right? Just like putting the accordion in the footer, but also just having like a static page with explore challenge call to action. Just keeping it really, really simple and above the fold. Next is, how desirable is it to the returning user, Gus? Probably, I'm just guessing here, a 9, but you could correct me if I'm wrong. How desirable is it for the home page to get them to where they want to be, right? And doable, it's so doable. So we can really knock that out quickly and do an A/B test on it to make sure it increases the follow conversion, right? So now that we got them on the explore page, when they click that button, let's A/B test that against what it currently is, with all its bells and whistles and everything exposed and distracting with no clear, task on this page. Well, let's give them that clear task on the page. Tell them, explore and follow challenges. Boom, right away. We have all the follow buttons on here. And then, so let's get back to our goals and priorities. So let's A/B test that. How desirable is that to be straightforward and easy to follow? It's a 9. How doable is it in tech? It's a little harder, right? Because we have to hide the filter, add this new sort feature, move elements around. So it's going to be maybe an 8 for the front-end development to actually achieve that. So it's getting a 17 here. Then let's move on to the challenge detail page, right? So how desirable is it? Probably a 10 because we get a lot of referral customers landing here from, when Gus shares it with his friends, those friends come to this page. That's what he's sharing. So, it's probably a 10. How tech doable is it? It's a huge page. So again, it's probably a front-end development 8 here, and the front-end developer would typically correct me here and be like, no, dude, that's a 5 because it's really tough. But here I'm being optimistic. It's 8. So I'm giving it an 18. And then the follow button. This is just like the follow button in all of its entirety here through the workflow that I've given, which is primarily from the explore page to the campaign detail page. And I'm saying like that's going to take a long time to implement all this stuff. But it's highly desirable because it's the engagement part of the website. As we remember from our narrative here, it's what makes our user engage. So I'm giving it 10s across the board here because it is doable. We have a follow button already, so the implementation's there. We're just sprinkling it around the site. So it's a 20, so it's probably the most important thing here. And then there's some other sides of this, which is like the user profile page. I didn't even do a mock for that. Its doability is question mark, so I'm putting a 7 here because there's a lot that goes into remembering and personalizing a website for somebody. So user profile page, but that's in the future. We'll get to that later. And then email notification and challenges updates. This is really important because this is how we get Gus to come back to the website. How desirable is it for Gus to get an email? They're probably pretty low. I'm getting optimistic with 7. He probably doesn't want emails from us, but once he starts to get used to it, the value in it and us offering good value, then that we'll see that spike up, like meaningful from another user on the website. Those kind of meaningful emails. And then tech doability, email marketing is really easy. So we probably already have an email. We just probably need to dress up that email. But those are projects to do later. For this one, we're just focusing on the follow button. I do this for all my clients. It just helps us pick one of these 3 things to focus on. Can we focus on awareness, like brand awareness? How do we get our message out? Or revenue? How do we get revenue in? Or efficiency? How can we be more efficient? And that's really what we're focusing on here. We're being more efficient with the follow button, because right now on the website, the follow button isn't in a lot of places, so it's hard to get to. And then once you're there, it's like, well, of course I'm going to follow it if I'm going to accept the challenge, or no, I'm not going to follow it. So it's like the last place you'd want to put the follow button on a campaign detail page. So get that puppy out in front, and let's do this thing. So that's basically it. So let me just recap here. So starting with the follow button, how to increase engagement on HeroX. The problem, we talked about hierarchy, paradox of choice, little to no information architecture, a lack of engagement or fun. The solution offering, like get returning users to explore the page as soon as possible. Put follow buttons on each challenge on the explore page. Remove any and all unnecessary distractions. Move all important and crucial items above the fold. And use following positive tone instead of the unfollow negative tone. Also increment user notifications next to the user's avatar in the header, where we have that little ticker to show them. And then implementation. We're using mobile first responsive design process here, so we keep this really simple. We're type boxing it. We're getting this out as fast as possible, and with the least amount of distractions. That's one of the problems, right? Like paradox of choice. Also, agile process. We are going to test this as fast as possible. Doing primary research is where I come in. I actually go to a coffee shop and test people on the high fidelity mockups we watched today. But after that, being confident about that UI is really important before we go into development. So that would typically be the next process here. But ball's in your court, guys, on this if you want to do that, pursue that or not. But here we're using agile process, which means get this out as fast as possible and start at least testing Google Analytics on that, and we'll get to that a little bit later. And then so third is harness holistic user flow to increase conversion. It's not about good design isn't about designing the challenge detail page, one page. It's not about designing one page. It's about designing the whole user flow. So it's the holistic user flow, and that's how we increase conversion here. It can't all happen on one page and put all the our eggs in one basket, so to speak. This has to happen holistically. So fourth is update the Bootstrap framework accordingly. Out of the box, Bootstrap comes at 480, 767, 992, 1200, and those screen widths. But in reality, people have iPhone 5s, which are 320 pixels wide. That's why I did the mockups in 320. The most popular tablet size is the portrait, and people hold it in portrait, and they look at it at 768. And then third is like, okay, what is this going to look like on a bigger screen? So I did 1440 pixels. Responsive design, it mainly takes place in the browser in front-end development mode. So the mockups are just like a guiding post to get you from A to B here, B being developed. Okay, so final is user Google Analytics. We got to set up 3 experiments, right? One on the home page, one on the Explore page, and one on the campaign detail page. The most important one would probably be the Explore page because that's where the majority of follow buttons reside. Yep, and get that launched. So what's next after this? We brushed on this a little bit with the goals and priorities workshop, which is number 1, store users following challenges on their user profile in a better way. One would be like the notification, have the little ticker there. But another one is just having the following challenges on their profile page organized better. We would talk about that in the next project, right? That's why it's next. Get people to socialize by messaging each other more easily. Right now, the message interface is very deeply hidden. You have to open the menu and then open the user profile. Nobody's ever going to message. That's very hard. So maybe it's easier on desktop, but mobile is absolutely just an obstacle after obstacle. So let's clean that up. Let's get that done next. And build a list of heroes for a more transparent on-site community. Right now, the only place a list of heroes exists is on the campaign detail page, but that's actually the last page in the user flow, so to speak, or in the meat of it. What about if I just want to go see who's on the website and challenge them one-on-one? Like, hey, I have a problem. Judging by your track record, I think you would be suited for this. Will you accept my challenge? And then you start to get this feedback back and forth between users, and we're hands off on it. And then finally, the email newsletter for following challenges updates. We saw that also come up in the user story narrative and on the goals and priorities, relatively low, but it's next. It's what's next. So I look forward to hearing back from you guys, and maybe we can walk through this. If you have any questions, just let me know. So that's all for me right now. Again, that's the follow button, how to increase engagement on HeroX. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.